Art One-on-One with Mr. Burgher.
Welcome to another episode of Art One-on-One. I'm Nichole Jordan, alongside Mr. Burgher, your professional artist and master educator.
Hi. Every time, there's interesting things that I notice. Like every time you address me in this introduction, and you say my name, you say Mr. Burgher, you feel like you have to nod to me. And this is him.
Well, because it's so weird calling you Mr. Burgher.
As if nobody else watching this or listening to this would recognize that my voice and my look is very distinctive from your voice and or look.
Okay, not today. You're wrong about that.
Today we're kind of a little matchy-matchy.
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Dorky.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I did.
This is you. This is all you.
Yeah.
And the kids.
Well,
but it's you.
Not your headband, but
No, that's Willie.
It's Willie?
Willie.
Willie Nelson?
Well, no. Willie from Duck Dynasty.
Oh, I don't know.
Willie
I have no idea.
Roberts? I don't know. Duck Dynasty Willie.
Got it.
He'd wear the American flag bandana, and I figured because we are this close to the 4th of July, the day before July 1st, so...
The holiday. Well... Anyway,
with it being this close, I figured I would do a little bit of something American, patriotic, and,
You like dressing the part.
I like dressing to the holiday. Or dressing to the part. That's a good way to put it.
All right, so I think we can just jump right into our...
Yeah.
This is the third time we've done the Ask the Art Guides.
This is the third Ask the Art Guides and our 11th episode and our 9th episode together. So the next one will be our together 10th. So look forward to that next week, if we last that long.
That might be true.
And so, Ask the Art Guides, we have looked into the mystic abilities of the oracle cards from the publishing company of Lawrence King, and they have a fantastic set of oracle cards that you can find online or anywhere you look for those sorts of items. I'm sure you can find it. We found ours at the Nelson Adkins Museum, so I'm sure there are places like that also carry these cards. And this week, the card that you have, because you do the magic of selecting the cards and being in touch with the things that you're in. The art guides. And so this week, the deck has spoken.
Andy
Warhol. So on these cards, there are 3 different components. There's the life, the work, and the inspiration. Which one do you think we should focus on this week? Now, I have mine, the one that I like, looking at the card.
I mean, the inspiration is what I like, and it's wanting can be better than having.
But I think you like the inspiration one every time.
Do I?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'll have to pay attention.
I'm sliding my chair.
Yeah,
I apologize for the extra background noise. And again, we're still at the alternative location, if you can't tell. So please excuse any background noises or background things that will most certainly occur because we are still in a house full of...
But we're dreaming about creating a pod...
Right, we're
a kit in our backyard or my backyard.
We're looking at a dream of creating a.
It's amazing what you can get in a kit these
days.
Bomb
shelter in a kit that we can hide from people, but until that gets developed, we'll just keep dreaming and we'll just focus on the podcast. So here we go.
So I chose wanting can be better than having,
which is the inspiration part of that card.
And you like what better?
Well, I like the work one better, but we can save that for another time. Because if we pull this card again, then we'll have something else to talk about,
brilliant. You're
so
smart.
so if we pull, which is possible, I mean, there's only so many cards in the deck. It's inevitable that eventually you're going to pull the same card twice or 3 times or 5 times. So we want to have other things to discuss. So we will focus on the inspiration of Andy Warhol as a part of this card.
Yeah, what do you have to say about that?
What do you have to say about that?
Well, I just think there's a lesson within that. It's like we always want what we don't have, right? And then, or like people want wealth and fame and all of those things and to become artists and all of that. And it seems like a lot of times when they get what they want, it isn't even, like it doesn't give them the satisfaction or the feeling that they thought they would, and then they just want something else. It's just kind of an interesting...
Well, it is. I agree with you. I think that when you look at like I always remember as a kid, and I don't know if you have this experience or if others have this experience, but as a kid growing up in the 70s and 80s, I remember certain things in my life that are very, very not the way things happen now. For example, I remember around October or November, my mom going to the department store and going in to get the coveted Sears Christmas catalog. It was a 2-inch thick book of all of the things that you could order from Sears for their Christmas catalog. It was huge. And I remember my mom going in and getting the Christmas catalog and just going through page by page. I want this. I want that. And it was, I mean, there were things that I wanted that I remember so badly that I wanted, I never got. But it was every G.I. Joe, every He-Man action set, the Star Wars toys, the Kenner products. I remember wanting, the Kenner was the ones that made the Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
The WWF at the time, WWF action figures. I don't know if they were in that catalog, but I know that they were on my Christmas list. All of the things. I remember very few things on the list that actually made it into my Christmas getting. I remember very vividly asking for an Alf. You remember the TV show Alf? The Alf sleeping bag. I wanted the Alf sleeping bag. Boom! I got it.
Oh, you did.
I got the Alf sleeping bag.
I did not like that show.
Most people didn't, which is why it was canceled just after. Like, I don't know. I liked the show. I thought it was funny, but anyway. But it was that building, that constructing of the dream. Like, oh my gosh, the adventures that I could have if I had all of these action sets and all of these figures and all of these characters and all the dreams that I could, the adventures that I could have or whatever. And that wanting was the dream to have it. But I know if I had all of those toys, if I had all of that stuff, what would I have done with it? Probably not what I think I would have done with it. Mm-hmm. I would have had it. It would have sat in a box. I would have played with it for a while, and it would have, I would have broken it. It would have gotten thrown away. It would have, I would have lost the pieces. It would have got played with hard and then discarded. And it probably wouldn't be so special opening those things if I had all of those things. Right. And so I think that that's true. Sometimes wanting is better than having. I want to have 1 million subscribers and I want all of these things to happen with the YouTube channel. But the patience and the waiting and the work of going into, okay, how do we make the product better so I earn it?
Right.
And I think that by working and earning it and doing the things the way I think they should be done, it makes you appreciate it more when you get it rather than just, oh, I got that.
Well, and it inspires you to work towards something or whatever you're wanting.
Right.
So
And
there's that too.
So there's that. And yeah.
How does that tie in with Andy Warhol? I mean, I'm familiar. He was like a pop artist. He was pretty into fashion. He
was kind of a into everything. I mean, he was into video, he was into music, he was into the Velvet Underground, he was into art and fashion. He was a model. He was he did lots and lots and lots and lots of things, and he was just kind of like a hub of what it was to be a 70s, 80s superstar. And I don't really know, wanting is better than having. I don't really know how that directly ties into Andy Warhol, to be perfectly honest. I'm not really sure.
Well, it's just probably a quote of his, maybe, or his philosophy.
It could be. It very well could be a quote of his or something like that.
He sounds like an interesting
He was a character. Yeah. Yeah, he was.
Well, we brought him up in our video last week with Basquiat.
Actually, and you know what? That's really strange because last week we had Basquiat was the card that was pulled,
right?
And so we talked a little bit about Andy Warhol in relationship to Basquiat. This week, Andy Warhol was pulled, but the first week that we pulled cards, we talked about Basquiat. Go back.
We did?
We did.
Ooh, that's interesting.
The week before we pulled Basquiat, we talked about Basquiat.
Who are we going to talk about this time? That will pull next time.
And that's it. Who?
I don't know who's all in the deck.
What artists are we going to bring up? And again, there's only so long that can happen, I'm sure.
Right.
And it's just circumstance. But it is interesting that, we didn't talk about Mies van der Rohe the week before. We didn't know we were going to do it, and he never came up in conversation. But who is the first artist that we pulled? If you're keeping, if you're playing the play at home game,
all that stuff, yeah.
Because like I've said before, like my brain is full of useless gum that is just like on the bottom desk of my brain,
Yes. But I ask you something that I tell you earlier, and you don't seem to remember that.
And that's the strange thing, because if you told me, I think I would remember, because my brain is a steel trap of information. So my thought is, when you say, I told you that this was going to happen or that was going to happen or whatever, I think you're just saying that. But I don't know.
Yeah, you're wrong.
I have no proof or evidence of that.
Well, I'll start recording our conversation.
Do it. Do it. And but anyway, Andy Warhol is an interesting guy. And,
you did a video on him. I
did do
I am aware of that.
I did do a video.
Not watch it.
Hopefully, this now pulling the card will inspire you to watch it
in my free time.
Yeah, because did you watch the one on Basquiat that I told you should watch?
No.
And that's the thing. You don't even watch the content that we're making now.
Yes, I do. We've just been busy. We have been busy.
Well,
I'll start watching again.
We'll see.
I don't like watching. I don't like watching myself at all.
So you
love it. You're like
I like to. The reason that I will go back and watch my videos, I will watch them to critique them so I can do a better job, because I feel like if I watch. Like, there are certain things that I do that I can edit and I can do in a larger video. And I go back and I watch and listen to the podcast as well as all this stuff, because I want to have the best product that I can make. And I feel like I'm
feeling like the background right now is not the best product that you can make.
What are you talking
Especially
about?
what we're wearing today. looks
the
awful.
background.
Yes, it looks awful.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry that your home looks awful.
With heart shirts.
I'm sorry. If it was up to me, I would change your house. I can't do. This is your house, not mine. I don't have the power or
You
abilities.
could put like a flag or something on something.
I could have. Could have, would have, should have.
I'm kidding.
All right. Maybe next time.
All right. So
anyway,
let's talk about the video.
So let's very smoothly transition away from the card and into the artwork, which is
Edvard Munch.
Munch, Edvard Munch.
Maybe he'll be the card
I'll be
next.
and this is how I knew that it was Edvard Munch, but I actually for a split second forgot that it was Edvard Munch until you just said it was Edvard Munch. In the very beginning when we did these, I would always keep kind of notes and like some talking points and things like that. But now I feel like it needs to be more conversational. My man Moose Man has said that he likes it a little bit more conversational, and it's gotten better and better. And some, and there's the as I stutter through it, there are those times where I think we're really, really conversational, and there are those times where I'm just like yammering on for like the whole 30 minutes. Right. So,
well, you tend to get sidetracked.
You're quick to agree with that.
Well, yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is you have to cut a lot of our good conversations out.
And I have the past couple of weeks, several weeks, I haven't had to edit out as much because I feel like we've done a better job of staying on track with the conversation and watching the time a little bit better, trying to stay around that 30-minute mark and that sort of thing. So.
Speaking of, I put my notes on my phone this time. So
Perfect.
I know.
Well, that's using technology. Like I said, I have gone away from...
Just winging it?
Well, I feel like I do better off the cuff as opposed to trying to stick with talking points and just let the conversation go where the conversation goes,
Yeah.
So anyway, you were saying?
Well, I was saying the video is on Edvard Munch. And, I mean, the main thing that you pointed out a lot, I think, in that video is how he uses art for, like, therapeutic reasons.
Yeah.
Because he went through a lot in his life.
And as a person, and maybe this is egotistical. Maybe this is an egotistical opinion, but I feel like in my life I've gone through a lot of stuff. I also think that Edvard Munch had it pretty bad. He had a very unique upbringing, being around a lot of death and a lot of hardships, especially at a young age.
Right.
With the death of his mother and his sister, his father being a doctor, being around a lot of death and things. I think that it's that can't be easy.
No.
Especially at a young, impressionable age to be around a lot of that stuff. So.
But that's why I think art, music, those things are so... movement, exercise in my industry are so important. Like, it is a form of therapy. Art is even I love art as therapy. Like, I am a terrible artist, but I love doing it.
But I think that's the point. I think real artists don't care about product. I don't think that, and I'm going to make a video about this. I've got an idea on a video on pure art building. And it won't come out for a while. I've got to assemble it and put it together. But I was thinking, as I was assembling a video that's coming out shortly on Paul Cézanne, I was thinking about how Paul Cézanne really is a pure artist. He didn't care about being in shows. He didn't care about making money. He didn't care about anything. He didn't care about other people's opinions. He just cared about making the best art that he felt that he could make. And my youngest two came to visit us recently. You might remember this. And my son, Hank, is, for his age, pound for pound, one of the best artists I've ever seen.
And he loves doing it.
And he loves doing it. And he is a pure artist. He doesn't care if you like it. He doesn't care if you get it. He doesn't care if he shows it to you. He doesn't care if it goes in the trash. He just wants to make it. He just wants to make it for himself, and that's what it's about. And again, making a video like that to me is just like inspiring. Like, that's what artists should be doing.
Right.
They shouldn't be doing it because, I'm going to do this really bizarre thing because I know it's going to make money, or I'm going to do this really controversial thing because I know it's going to get likes. I'm going to make this video because I know everybody's going to click on it because it's going to be so out there, so controversial, so absurd that you're going to have no choice but to watch it. But for Hank, it's all about, I want to make the artwork that I want to make. And he's a pure artist. And I don't really remember how we got on this topic.
Munch being a pure artist.
Munch is kind of the same way. Well, the therapy.
Yeah.
And I think that the therapy of it, for me, like, after my dad died, I made lots and lots of art, and a lot of it dealt with my dad's death. It dealt with my feelings of my dad's death. It dealt with my new existence, my new normal after my dad's death. Mm-hmm. When I was in college, I had a daughter that died, and it was not really a new normal, but it was definitely a dealing with the loss of a child. And then through all of the things that subsequently we've gone through in life, that I've gone through in life, they've influenced the ups and the downs of making art. You know, when you go through and, you know, you meet somebody. When I meet somebody, I want to make artwork to commemorate that. When my children were born, as my children have grown, the things that I've seen, the things that I've done, I want to commemorate that through some sort of art creation. I think that you might even remember, maybe, there were times where when we would talk on the phone, and where I would say, oh my gosh, I just found this piece of artwork. I want you to FaceTime me. And I'd say, okay, move your head like this and move your head like that and stop. And I'd take a screenshot so that I could have so that I could do certain things. And it's things like that. Like, again, the meeting of people, the enjoyment of all of those things, the highs and the lows, not just the therapy of it, but the documentation of life that really is Edvard Munch and what he did, what he created.
Do you think he knew it was therapeutic for him at the time, or you think he just did it because that's what felt good isn't the right word?
Well, clearly,
we, in retrospect, are saying, yes, he used art and it was therapeutic for him, but do you think he realized that when he was doing it?
It's hard to say. There's no way of really...
I'm just asking your perspective. I'm not asking you to...
I don't know. I don't know. Like when you ask me a question like that, like, I want to give you a definitive answer of yes, he did, or no, he didn't, but I really don't know that I can. I don't know that I can say for certain that, yeah, he knew that this was therapeutic, or...
I just said, what do you think? I didn't say, what does he think?
But that's what I want to give you. I'm telling you what I want to give you.
Okay. I
want to give you, because that's how my brain works. My brain works in a, yes, that's what he thought, or no, that's not what he thought. But I don't know for certain. If I had to guess, I would say he didn't really know that it was therapeutic. It was just more instinctive. But I don't know that for certain.
That would be what
But I don't know that for certain. There's I have not read anything or seen anything or heard anything that would indicate that.
I think it's interesting, like in my industry, you hear a lot of time like your greatest struggles can create your greatest accomplishments.
Right.
And like the struggle with was it his sister that passed? The sick child, or that painting was his most popular one, right? So it was like one of the greatest.
It wasn't his most. It was his. He said that the sick child was his greatest work.
Okay.
Society said that his greatest work was The Scream.
Okay, got it.
Or, well, yeah.
I obviously didn't listen to your video very well.
Well, and the thing is that as I've said before, some of the inspiration. I mean, there's a lot of things that went into the inspiration as to why I make the videos that I make. Mm-hmm. But one of those pieces was I had a student. Her name was Katie. She was in my art class, and she said, she had taken Art 1 and Art 2, and that's like the basic art in high school. And she had this art history, and there's a big test, and it's a big thing. And then her senior year, she was taking an independent study and sitting in the back of the classroom, and she was in a freshman class kind of doing her own thing. And she's like, this isn't the greatest time because I can sit back and make my art and listen to these stories that I had heard before, but now I get to listen to them just as a spectator without the stress of a test or anything like that. And I can just, sit back and listen to these stories, and they're great stories. And part of it was, how great would it be to be able to create these stories for somebody sitting at home or whatever that just wanted to learn about art history and not have to worry about a test or this or that. Or maybe they're taking an art history class and they need to get more content. They need to get more of a background. They need to get a better understanding of these artists. So maybe I can help this demographic of people that wants to get information for something that's academic, but also provide entertainment for people that just want the entertainment side. So Katie is part of she's a part of the mixture that is to why I make the videos that I make and choose the stories that I choose and the artists that I talk about, because the artists that are really, really bizarre and interesting, like an Edvard Munch, are artists that kids are like, wow, I really want to know more about that weirdo, as opposed to artists like, they just make their art and sell it at a craft fair or something, that are just like, they wear a polo shirt. You don't want to hear about an artist that just wears polo shirts and loafers. That person's boring. You want to hear about an artist that has mental instability. You want to hear about an
There's a lot of that. That is like, when I was watching this video on Munch, I was like, okay, is it me, or is this, they're just like, I always feel like there's a lot of dark videos, I tell you that, or like dark art, and there's just a lot of mental health issues in the art industry. Am I right?
I don't think you're wrong, but I think that it's an overgeneralization. I mean, there are things that you can say that are based in fact, but I think that you can't overgeneralize a whole population. Like, for example, the profession with the highest suicide rate, and if you have feelings of suicide, please call the Suicide Prevention Hotline, because that isn't a joke or a laughing matter or something to make light of. But the profession with the highest suicide rate is dentistry. Doctors that have gone to dental school and are practicing dental medicine are in the highest demographic of professionals that commit suicide. Does that mean that all dentists are suicidal? No.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, a lot of the artists that I learn about or that we talk about, it just seems like there's some type of mental health. I would say in 70% of the people we've talked about.
And again, I'm not saying, I think that it's like, and I've made this analogy before, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but it's just like comics. Comics tell jokes, and their jokes are sometimes they're a little dark or whatever, but they come from a place of depression and all of these things, and so because they're depressed, they make people laugh. And you look at somebody like a Robin Williams, you look at all of these great comedians that are just fantastic. And, you can have a Sam Kinison type who's on drugs. You can have a Rodney Dangerfield who had a tough life and picked himself up by the bootstraps and made a good go of it. You can have a Robin Williams who was at the top of the mountain and achieved fame that nobody else's comic, would ever want to walk away from, and everybody would aspire to have that. And because of his issues, he took drastic measures for whatever reason. And so again, I think that comics, like artists, whether that's musicians or actors or whatever branch of artistry you want to talk about, artists are sensitive people, and they've lived their lives, and they put their lives into their work, generally speaking.
Right.
That's not completely true, but it's generally true. And I think that artists who have lived things and are sensitive to things, who have had their perspective on things, and they put it out there, whether it's been accepted or not accepted, or they're trying to reinvent themselves or whatever they're trying to do. It's difficult.
Yeah,
it's hard to put yourself out there 100% and have somebody say, "Give us something new."
Right.
Give us something different.
And you're never going to make. I mean, in any industry, you're never going to make everyone happy. So there's always going to be that criticism and
when you're on top of the mountain, it's hard to stay there. Not everybody can be a prick like Pablo Picasso, who is a complete jerk, but stayed at the top of the mountain his entire life. There are so many people like Jackson Pollock who struggled, finally got to the top, and then give us something new. He couldn't do anything new, and bad things happen.
Where was Munch at in all of that? I mean,
he's way before that. Before both.
I mean, did he?
I think Munch was a person that slowly gained traction, and then when he started to create the Scream series, then he started to get on the art map. He started to, and he lived very well at the end of his life, but he lived the end of his life knowing that, I mean, he was successful, he was productive, he wasn't a starving artist by any means, but he had his own mental ailments. He had his own bipolar issues. He had his own depressions. He had his own foibles, quirks, whatever. Foibles. Well, I may have made it up. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I think that comes back into play on the card too. Like, wanting sometimes is better than...
Wanting is sometimes better than having. Yeah. So, anyway, since we've made it full circle,
we can wrap it up.
I think so. You can follow us all over on social media, on Instagram. What am I on?
YouTube.
Instagram, YouTube, of course, Spotify, Facebook. I'm on TikTok and Twitter. You can leave a question or a comment or a concern or whatever you want to do. You can find me on Fortnite sometimes. You can find me all over the place on social media sorts of outlets. And hopefully you will like, share, subscribe, and tell your neighbors. It's the patriotic American thing to do.
That's right.
And if you're not from America, then it's the patriotic thing for wherever you're from. Whether you're from the UK or Australia or the wherever, the Sudan, it doesn't matter. It's the right humanitarian thing to do to tell everybody. Everybody in the world should know, and then that'll be good.
And now we will wrap this up because that was awful.
Okay, that's it.
All right. Have a good night.
Or day.
Jeez, night.
Oh, Pete,
whenever
we've
you're
had this
watching.
conversation before.
Every time.
Christ alive.
Well, what do you say?
See you next time.
See you next time.